Hello and good afternoon, everybody. This is Jimmy Harrell up here at Credit Suite. Today, we will be discussing business credit reports and scores. So very important information through this about establishing business credit and how to generate the proper score and how to even start, like where to begin. So becoming fundable, having proper business bank accounts set up, business phone numbers, addresses, things of that nature. So we're going to discover that complete today through this presentation. So let's get right to it. So that is Ty. That's one of the books that he has written. There's our phone number. You can write that down, even an email there. So if you have any questions at the end of this, you can reach out to us directly and we can help you set up these factors. So this is part of our business here. So business credit reports and scores. All right. So business credit reports and scores are one thing that lenders look at to determine the credit worthiness of your business. So it's similar to personal credit, right? When you're looking for personal lending, bad business credit reports and scores can cause you not to be able to get funding, right? So that would be obvious. There's hope. There are 5 ways to beat a bad business credit score. So we're going to discuss that. You've probably heard this before. No credit is the same thing as having bad credit. That is accurate. If there's no credit history, nobody can see how you pay back loans or debt, then it's going to be hard to determine how you'll pay them back. So having no credit at all is just as bad as having bad credit. So whether you've got a business credit score or no business credit score at all, you're going to be in the same boat when applying for business loans, business credit. So most people don't realize that business credit does not build the same as personal credit. So we'll discuss that a little bit today as well. You have to build business credit intentionally. I love how that's underlined, but it's accurate. This is not something that happens naturally as like personal credit would. When you apply, it's going to report. It's going to automatically report. It's mandatory for them to report to the bureaus. Business credit is not. So you have to be very careful and strategic on who you use and how you build your business credit profile. But it needs to be done, of course, intentionally. So to make sure that you have a business credit score, there's a couple of steps you need to take. You have to first establish a business credit profile. This involves setting up your business to be a fundable entity separate from you, the owner. We're going to go through these steps, but in a nutshell, this is you getting an EIN number, getting your own quote unquote social for your business, keeping your personal credit, your personal social security number away from your business debt. So setting up your business to be fundable entity separate from the owner is registering with the Secretary of State, getting an EIN number from the IRS, and going from there. But we're going to talk about how to do that and those steps. So it is best to do this from the inception of the business. But if you did not, just be sure you do it as soon as possible so you can get started building business credit. All right, so we're going to talk about number 1, setting up your business as a separate entity. So the first step that you need to take is you need to set up your business to be separate entity is to have a separate business contact information. So this is very basic stuff so far. Your business should have its own phone number and address. You do not want to use a cell phone number here. You don't want to use a PO box or home address. These are things where we're going to talk about having a business phone line. We're going to talk about having at least a virtual address, right? If a brick and mortar is something that's not necessary, then at least having a virtual address would be something that we'd recommend here. We'll explain that here in a little bit why. But your business should have its own phone number and its own address. That's showing that it is separated from you personally, right? You can use a VoIP, which is a phone number that works over the internet, right? Rather than through like your standard phone lines. Allows you to be mobile. This number, here's the good news, it can be forwarded to your personal phone for ease, okay? So you do not have to have 2 phones attached to you. So register, get a VoIP, roll the number to a cell, that way you can still use that one phone to run and operate your business if you wanted to do that, okay? So here's the other half of it, a virtual office. So this can work well for a business address. Some of them even offer a meeting space if you need to hold meetings in person for your team. or yourself or your clients. But make sure you look into that. We'll share some references there as far as setting up virtual offices. But this is going to be a better alternative. What this does is this creates an image that you're larger than somebody working out of their living room or out of their garage. So having a virtual office instead of a PO box or a home address is very important. So after you have separated your contact information, use this to apply for your EIN number, your employee identification number. This is an identifying number for your business. This will act as your social. There it is. It works similar to how a social works for your individual self. So you can get one of these for free using the IRS website. There's the link, irs.gov, very simple. But you're going to want to go there to register and get an EIN number, okay? So make sure you write that down. That's a very important step. That is going to help you separate your personal information from your business. Now, once you have separate contact information and an EIN, now you incorporate. You do this on the IRS website anyway. So you can go ahead and do it when you apply for your EIN, right? So kill two birds with one stone here. This is absolutely necessary for separating your business from yourself. Once you've got your EIN number and you have now incorporated, you have separated. But it also is going to talk about protection. So obviously when you incorporate, you're going to have different levels. You're going to have different options, right? LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, a sole proprietorship. You need to investigate and look into each one of those to determine which one of liability, what level of liability makes sense for you and your business. So here's some examples: S Corp, LLC, or even a corporation. Okay, so that's what you're going to want to look into. And ask a tax expert or an advisor questions there to make sure that you're picking the right one that makes sense for your situation, okay? So the corporate option that you choose does not matter for business credit purposes. So having an LLC versus an S Corp or being incorporated versus as an S Corp will not have a deciding factor while building out your business credit, okay? But your business may have specific needs that require one option over the other, something I talked about. So your budget and your level of liability protection. Those needed are two things that must be considered while deciding, okay? So it is best to discuss with your attorney or a tax professional, so something I mentioned as well. So a huge piece of separating your business from yourself is opening a dedicated business bank account. This is a huge step. This is something that will be required. There's a lot of flexibility that you get to do with how you take payments or how you generate revenue by having a business bank account set up. So there's many reasons to do this beyond separating your business, right? So obviously we're talking about it because it helps you keep everything separate. We should be talking about some benefits of what else it helps you do with your business as well. So for example, it aids in keeping business finances separate from personal finances for tax purposes. So you don't want to go through and try to figure out your last 12 months worth of bank statements and find out what was business and what was personal related. So having a business bank account dedicated for your business revenue is very important, right? So that should be enough of a factor in itself. But in addition to that, many lenders like to see a minimum average balance in a business bank account before approving a loan. So this is something that I think a lot of people forget to consider is when you are asking for money as a business, they want to see stable. They want to see stability. They want to see that you have the ability to pay back that loan. That's how any loan works, whether it's personal or business. They want to see that you have the ability to pay that back. It's hard to ask for money when you can't show that you have a history or you have the ability to pay them back, okay? So that is huge. That's why you need a business bank account. That's one big reason. So also, here's a big one. You cannot get a merchant account without a business bank account, which means you cannot take credit cards as payments. Having a merchant account set up is huge. A lot of people use credit and debit cards to make purchases. Cash is something that they have cash apps for now, right? So if you cannot take credit card as payments for your services or what you're offering, then it limits you for your income, definitely gets limited. So a recent study has showed that consumers spend a good 4 times as much with credit cards versus cash. So that's a fact. So not accepting cash means so that should be credit. So not accepting credit means that you're leaving money on the table. You literally are. So nerdwallet.com, that's where that was performed. That's a great website, a lot of information, very consumer friendly on credit card transactions, but credit cards make you spend more. That's something that we've probably experienced personally. Another huge reason that you need a business bank account, and you need one fast. Many lenders will consider the bank account opening date to be the date that the business started. Okay, it used to be the lenders would consider the incorporation date to be the date of inception. So the articles of incorporation to show when that date was set up. But what people were doing is they were creating what's called shelf corporations. So now many consider a business to begin the date of business bank account was opened. This is because of the rise in buying shelf corporations. So people were going out and opening and creating businesses, building them out, and saying they were 2, 3, 5, 10 years old with no activity because they were using the date of inception, the incorporation date. So a lot of lenders do not like lending to shelf corporations because it's not real. It's false information. So they will actually look at the date that you opened your bank account. So it's very important to open one up as quickly as possible. So yeah, the shelf corporation people were looking to kind of game the system there. Now, not all business bank accounts are equal. Do your research. It's imperative to choose the right one for your business. Things that you need to consider. What are the fees, right? The number of allowed transactions, whether this is a minimum or maximum. Required cash deposits, same thing. Minimum balance requirements, which is huge here. Perks, right? So is there any advantages to having certain banks' business accounts set up? So let's go a little bit deeper into fees. It's the most obvious, right? It may not be as simple as you think. For example, you're not necessarily looking for no fees or the cheapest fees. So the fact is, with bank accounts, you get what you pay for. Your business may actually need an account that charges more fees, but allows for more growth, right? So then in that case, the fees make sense. The number of allowed transactions. So many business bank accounts allow a certain number of transactions per month. If you go over the allowed amount, you may be charged additional fees. A free account may not allow for the number of transactions your business needs to make in a month. So if you're making daily deposits and you need 30 deposits a month and the maximum is 15 to 20, I mean, that's something that could add up with fees. So that's good questions to ask. Your business may grow and then you would need more transactions. Many business bank accounts are required a certain amount, a number or amount, or allow for a maximum number of cash deposits in a month. Okay, very similar to the minimum transactions. So again, even if you do not make the money deposits now, your business will grow. All right, so you have to account for this growth. This is something to consider 6 months down the road, a year from the road, down the road. You want to make sure you're set up with somebody who can handle your growth. So when you're opening a business bank account, you do not want to have to pay fees for making more deposits than the account allows. Okay, so keep that into consideration. Those are all great questions to ask and look into. Some business bank accounts require a minimum balance. I think we all know this, or at least an average minimum balance over the course of a month. So think about whether or not you can meet that requirement when considering an account. If you have just as much money going out as you do coming in for the first 30, 60, or 90 days of establishing and building your revenue and your business, then that's something that you obviously need to be aware of. Is, are you going to be able to meet that minimum? So it's another way that free accounts end up not being actually free. So consider the number, the minimum balance that needs to be required, or they will figure out a way to charge fees. So free may not be always free. Ask these questions. Here's some perks, right? If you find more than one account that fits your needs and have trouble deciding, consider any of them if any of them offer additional perks, right? So these can include like mobile banking, having a mobile app, doing text banking, waiving certain fees for hitting a set number of transactions, right? So example, no fees if you make a certain number of purchases via your debit card each month. So these are going to be different ways to separate somebody who are very similar in the first 3 or 4 bullet points we talked about. So we talk about perks. What are the perks? What can you help me out with? What do you offer? What makes you different than the other bank, right? So all very good questions to ask when you're setting up a business bank account. You need to be sure that your business has all the licenses that it needs to operate legally. This is going to be like a state by state. Okay. So lenders will not lend to a business that is not adhering to the rules and regulations. A DUNS number is also necessary. So on the licenses, it's something that we talk about, Ty's talked about in webinars. If you need a certain license because of the practice that you operate or the business that you have, and your state requires it, then you definitely need to have it. Or it could prevent you from keeping your business and personal credit separate. So having all the licenses is necessary. Having a DUNS number is also necessary. So a Dun & Bradstreet number is something we talk about. So this is how you get into the Dun & Bradstreet system. They're the oldest and most commonly used business credit reporting agency. So they're the world's largest business credit bureaus. It is vital to be in their system if you're going to build business credit. A lot of the lenders will pull your business credit report through Dun & Bradstreet to take a look at your credit history, your paydex score, and determine whether you qualify or not for a loan or line of credit, okay? So getting a Dun & Bradstreet number, so that way when you do build credit, it does report to Dun & Bradstreet and helps build out that profile. You can get one for free. You can go to dnb.com. It'll give you a couple of options, I believe. So you have the option to get one for free. It takes a little bit longer to wait for. You could pay to get one expedited. I believe you can pay a lot of money and actually get one in 24 hours. So go through that. There's a lot that you're going to be doing foundation-wise. There's no reason, I believe, to pay for a Dun & Bradstreet number. Waiting the 2 weeks to get one is what I would recommend there. So sometimes it isn't your actual business credit score that causes you a problem. You can have decent business credit, but still be denied on a loan. Here's why. A reason is that it happens in the lack of continuity in business information. So your business name, address, phone number are all on numerous documents, okay? So with the IRS, with your Secretary of State, when applying for a loan, a Dun & Bradstreet, right? So if you're not consistent in having a business address, a virtual address, all the way through in all of your documents, if somebody goes to look that up, it could throw up red flags in their system. So you can actually still be denied a loan because you have a home address in one place or a PO box and a virtual address in the other. Or you have a cell phone number somewhere and you have a business phone number listed elsewhere. Same thing with the email address. If you have a personal email address listed somewhere and then you have a business address listed elsewhere. So continuity, it's very big. Make everything match, okay? So if it's not exactly the same everywhere, you could be denied. That's why it's very important to do these things in order from the very beginning. You don't want to register with the Secretary of State, get an EIN number, get a Dun & Bradstreet number, and then say, oh yeah, I'm using my PO box or my home address. Now I need a virtual address. And then you have to go through and edit every single one of those. So it's very important you follow the steps and do the things proper from the beginning. It just makes it easier for you. It accelerates it. So number 2, keep all business information uniform, right? This helps prevent fraudulent activity. These are what the underwriters have to go by. They are looking at getting you credit without using your personal credit. They know little to nothing about your payment history. They don't have your social. So they don't want to be scammed. They want to lend to legit companies. So all of this helps prevent fraudulent, helps prevent flags in their system. So they do not want to be scammed. Fraud is running rampant in our current age. We all know that. Anything that sets off warning signals is likely to result in an automatic denial. It's just going to be an extra speed bump for you, something you have to go through and explain and change, make edits, and it's going to slow it down. So have everything proper from the beginning. It's like having an open book test. We're going to tell you exactly what needs to be done and when to do it before you start applying for credit. That way you don't get denied because of a bad phone number or email or address, right? So lenders aren't going to take the time to think of all the reasons something may be a little bit off. Some of these things are automated, right? Not even a real person. It's just the system will catch something being wrong. Not putting a period at the end of an LLC or a comma before LLC. So it's very important that when you fill out these applications, it is exactly how you have it registered with the IRS and with the Secretary of State. Okay, so keep that in mind. It's very important that it's uniformed. So this means if your business name uses an ampersand, this is what I just talked about, and your insurance documents and the word "and" on your website, right? You could have an issue. So using the ampersand sign and using the word "and" instead, then you can have an issue, right? It doesn't match. So example, if your business name is Stewart and Sons, right, with the ampersand, and that is on your EIN paperwork, but your business license says the word "and," that tiny discrepancy could cause you to not get a loan. We've seen it happen. If you move to a new location or even open a second location, you neglect to change your address in just one place, it could cause you to be denied. Right, so this is something that is very important that you know this. You don't want to have to go through and wait 2 or 3 weeks for the state to change and edit and reapply. So all business information needs to be the same across the board before you start building credit. Okay. Number 3, use the credit line hybrid to build business credit. This is the credit line hybrid is a program that allows you to get unsecured loans, unsecured lines of credit in the forms of business credit cards without using collateral, without having cash flow, without having any established business credit history. So the credit line hybrid allows you to fund your business without collateral. It's the best of both worlds between a line of credit and credit cards. It really is. So to qualify, your personal credit of at least 685. So 685 or higher on your personal credit scores, all three. So your lowest score needs to be above 685. You cannot have any of the following. So here's reasons why a credit line hybrid would not work for you. Any liens or judgments, bankruptcies, or late payments on your personal credit could result in an instant decline while trying to qualify for the credit line hybrid. The reason this helps you build business credit, these are going to be business credit cards that report to the business credit bureaus, and each one reports as a trade line. So if you get 3 or 4 business credit cards through this program, you're going to have 3 or 4 trade lines reporting to your business credit reports. You cannot have more than 4 credit inquiries over the last 6 months. You should have less than 45% utilization on your personal credit cards. Okay, so be less than 45% on your usage of your personal credit cards. Not overall. Each account needs to be less than 45%. You can't be 80% on one, 0% on another, and let the balance be below 40%. You need to be below 45% on individual. So if you do not meet all these qualifications, then you can use a credit partner, okay, who does meet them. So if you have somebody who's close to you or part of your business who does meet those qualifications, you can use a credit partner to build your credit profile. All right. So how does this build or improve your business credit? I think I mentioned it already. If your business is set up properly, your payments will be reported to the business credit reporting agencies. Since you have the option of taking on a credit partner, you can actually have payments reporting even if they do not already have established business credit or have a bad business credit score. Okay, same thing I mentioned earlier. So number 4, so we're going to talk about the 5 ways, right, we could beat bad business credit. Number 4 is using vendor credit. In addition to the credit line hybrid, there's another way to build business credit without already having good business credit score. It's called vendor credit. This is extended by starter vendors or vendors that will offer you net terms without a credit check. Okay, so we call them vendor accounts. You can call them net 30s. There's some examples that we share multiple times, but there's going to be vendors that will approve you without doing a credit check. They're going to report to the Business Credit Bureau as a trade line and help rebuild your business credit profile. So they do look for other ways to mitigate risk. For example, they're going to look at the length of time in business. Okay, so that's going to be a factor. The average balance in the business bank account. So we already talked about this, having a business bank account set up. Revenues, right? So your cash flow, your revenues that are coming in, is it consistent? Any combination of these and other things. So this is what they're going to look at to overcome where your business credit profile might be. You got to bring some other things to the table. Once you're approved, the starter vendors will report your on-time payments to the business credit reporting agencies, thus helping you build a strong business credit score. Okay, let's talk about number 5, responsible use of store credit and fleet credit. Once you have your business set up properly, you start building a score with the credit line hybrid and vendor credit. You can start to apply for store credit and fleet credit. So this is going to be step 2, step 3, however you want to call it. But after you have, let's call it 5 or so trade lines reporting, now you're going to start applying for store credit and fleet credit. So store credit is credit from a specific retailer, Lowe's, Home Depot, Best Buy, Amazon. Those are some examples, right? A particular store or website. Fleet credit is meant to be used for automobile costs such as fuel, maintenance, and repair. Anybody who's in transportation or trucking or drives for work, travels, delivers parts, whatever it is. So fleet credit is very important for you to use. It's going to help you not tie up business cash flow. If you have an expensive repair, $2,000 or $3,000, transmission, something happens, you can't make money if your vehicle's not on the road, right? So having a fuel or fleet account that's not reporting to your personal credit, you don't have to use personal credit cards and ruin your personal credit to get that truck or van back on the road, then this is the best way to do it, using a fuel or fleet account to keep those on the road and not tie up cash flow, like I mentioned earlier. So use these types of credit responsibility and your business credit scores will soar. As you use these accounts and you generate and create payment history, they're going to report good payments to your Dun & Bradstreet and your business credit reporting agencies, which is going to help your paydex score, which is key. I mean, that's the whole reason we're doing this. So the truth about your business credit score. The truth is, if you have not intentionally worked to build a business credit score, you are not going to have one. This doesn't happen, again, on accident. So it's the same as having a bad business credit score. So this is a summary. Whether you have not established business credit or you have bad business credit, these tips can help you build a strong score. You can access the funding you need to grow your business. All right, so there was 5 different ways that we can get around having bad credit or no credit at all. So establishing it, setting up your bank accounts. So here's more of a recap. So a strong business credit score is necessary for gaining the funding you need to run and grow your business. Keyword grow, right? So we're not in this, we're not starting businesses to get for the next 30 days or 60 days. Like, we are trying to grow and scale our business. Reminder, when you are setting up a business bank account, ask the question, see if they can handle your growth. So no business credit is the same as bad business credit. Building business credit cannot happen unless your business is set up properly. We talked about those fundability factors, setting up properly, having an EIN number, registering as a corporation, LLC, S Corp, having separated your contact information, phone numbers, emails, addresses from your personal. So having separate contact information, having an EIN number, incorporating, opening up a business bank account, obtaining any proper licenses that are required from your state, and getting a Dun & Bradstreet number. So those are very important steps. Those are what's going to separate you. These are what we call, again, fundability factors. When these things are set up and done properly, then you can start building credit without using your social. All right, so you also need to be certain your business information is the same across the board. We talked about this as well. So even small differences can cause you to get denied for a business loan. You can use a credit line hybrid or vendor credit to help build your score. After your score is strong enough, you can apply for store credit and fleet credit. Use this credit responsibly. You should be able to access all the funding you need to run and grow your business. Right? So even small differences can cause you to get denied. Remember that. Any address change, any phone number change, email changes, it needs to be sent back. I mean, your Secretary of State, your IRS, that all needs to be changed and updated. Because if it's not matching, it'll throw up a flag in the system. You're going to get denied over something silly. Okay. So that was a recap. We're about 30 minutes in, I believe. So any questions, comments, concerns, 877-600-2487 is a phone number. You can email info@creditsuite.com. You can go to creditsuite.com for our website, schedule a consultation to talk to an advisor. What we're going to be here for you. Get your free business credit reports at creditsuite.com/monitoring. So if you wanted to look to see where your business credit score is at right now, what trade lines do you have reporting? Do you have any at all? Are they good? Are they bad? You can go to creditsuite.com/monitoring for your free business credit reports. Okay. Yeah, appreciate your time. Please reach out with any questions. Hopefully we talk to you soon. Thank you.